Good morning, Chair Ann Burnage, Department of Theater and Dance faculty and staff, and graduating seniors. Firstly, I want to congratulate all of you talented artists in the class of 2021 for making it this far with all of your hard work, dedication, commitment, and resiliency throughout your undergraduate years. Also, great job in your recent virtual concert, Center in Motion. It was an impressive production in all aspects. Also, a salute to all of you for these past 14 months where your resiliency was specially tested. You have demonstrated a different type of resiliency that I hope prepares you even more for your future endeavors. Your ability to adapt, move forward, and accomplish so much during a period with many challenges and uncertainties is truly remarkable. I want to share with you some tidbits from my own journey. Unfortunately, I reside in probably the noisiest city in America, my hometown, New York City. For those of you who have lived or spent time here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For that reason, I was going to share the next part of my remarks with you via a pre-recorded video, but I decided to just do it live. Also, I'm not really a great public speaker. That is not one of my gifts. If only I could, I would dance my entire remarks for all of you, but that's even challenging for me at this point, which you will learn more about shortly. At any rate, this works out for the best. Here it goes. I was born in Manila, Philippines, where I grew up not being exposed to the arts. I moved to the United States in 1984. I completed my high school in Niagara Falls, where I had my introduction to the American culture, the frigid temperature, and the snow. I performed at high school chorus and production Hello Dolly without realizing that was my initial exposure to the arts. Despite those experiences, I had little to no understanding of both art forms. I then began my undergraduate studies there at UB many years ago. It's very possible I studied with some of your parents. My declared major was accounting, something I felt very comfortable pursuing, and it was what my parents decided for me in advance as a career. In my junior year, I was exposed to the formal art form of dance by chance through a course offered in the athletics department. My instructor, Teresa Gorman Crayon, noticed my enthusiasm in class and encouraged me to check out the dance department. I asked her what the department was all about. It sounded like a school club to me at the time. My instructor simply said, "Just visit the department and take a look." I immediately commuted to the Main Street campus where the department was initially located. I watched all the dance classes throughout that day. I felt such a strong connection to the art form that I fell in love with it instantaneously. I dropped all my accounting prerequisites and replaced them with all dance courses. Surprisingly, without any prior formal training, I excelled in the art form very quickly. I attributed that accelerated proficiency to the faculty who taught, mentored, and supported me while I was in the program. I performed in the department's pre-professional student dance company within 2 years. I did not tell my parents about me dancing because they were adamant with me getting an accounting degree. They were the typical Asian parents that decide for their children what major and career to pursue and who they should marry. At some point, I had decided I would brave it and invite my parents to see me perform at UB. I remember it vividly. They sat in the front seat, and by their indescribable, uncomfortable facial expressions, I knew they disapproved. After the show, they immediately found me and asked about accounting, and I told them I was just doing the show for fun. They expressed their relief and told me dancing was not a job, especially not for a man. But I wasn't willing to give it up. I continued to take dance courses and changed my major to dance performance without informing my parents. I even performed in the department's musical production of West Side Story. I also performed professionally as a concert dancer in Buffalo around the same time, but decided there was no point inviting my parents to see any of my performances to avoid hearing their disapproval. Additionally, Professor Thomas Relabate, also known to many of you as Mr. Tom, entered me in a dance competition. I was concerned about this opportunity because of my very limited training in the art form, but he pushed me and believed in me. The other faculty members also supported me. I worked very hard daily to train myself for the competition. Then two miracles took place. I won both the local and national competitions with only 3 years of formal dance training. Initially, I was sad because I could not tell my family about my participation in these competitions. It would have been wonderful to have them there in the audience to support me and witness me win. Luckily, the faculty and the other students in the department were extremely supportive of me. Some of them even flew to New York City to support me and watch me compete at the nationals. They became my family during that period. I did show my parents my trophies and medals when I returned home. I also told them I was receiving scholarship money from the national competition. Their attitude changed at that moment. They expressed how proud they were of me. They even sent to our relatives in the Philippines the newspaper clip announcing my winning, multiple photos as well as t-shirts with my image from the competition. It was a major turning point in my life. They did ask me again about accounting, and I told them not to worry. Accounting will always be a part of me. My life at that point felt somewhat like the Billy Elliot story. For those of you not familiar with the story, it was about a young boy who discovered dance during his weekly boxing lessons, fell in love with the art form, and pursued it despite the strong objection of his father. His teacher recognized his gift, taught him, encouraged him to continue dancing, and helped him get started in the training as a professional dancer. At some point, his father recognized the truth about his son's gifts and started to help his son reach his dream to become a professional ballet dancer. So that was somewhat my story as well. I must mention though, back then, the theater and dance department did not have all the programs, courses, and resources that are offered to you now in a more advanced, interdisciplinary, and collaborative environment, not to mention an amazing facility. Therefore, you are all quite fortunate, and I'm extremely jealous. Anyway, I share with you this story as part of my journey to show you that with love and passion for what you do, and combined with hard work, discipline, self-belief, perseverance, and the excellent training and support you have received from the department's faculty, you are destined to achieve your dreams and make a positive impact in your respective fields and communities. You all have been given a very solid foundation as sound costume, lighting, and set designers, dancers, choreographers, actors, directors, music theater performers, stage managers, theater technologists, scholars, and educators, to name a few. I know this firsthand because the department also prepared me to become a dance professional. Without this foundation and their mentorship, I would not have accomplished so much in my career. After my time at UB, I moved to New York City to pursue my career in concert dance. As someone who stands only 5 foot and 3 inches, I was overlooked and rejected many times by directors and choreographers at auditions simply because of my short height. My talent and skills did not matter to them. Many times, they did not even look at me during the auditions. It was a disheartening experience. I felt very marginalized. But that experience did not discourage me. Instead, I realized I had to find a strategic way to land performing jobs. I decided I would take master classes where I was able to showcase my skills without the worry of being compared to other ideal body types. I succeeded with this strategy and ended up performing professionally in New York City and receiving many accolades for years. So despite being rejected, overlooked, and marginalized, I never gave up. I just had to think of strategic solutions. While these jobs were good work and provided me additional performing experiences, they were not lucrative jobs and did not provide me with adequate financial security. I knew deep inside that was not what I thought my professional life as a concert dance artist would be. So I had to think of another strategy to better support myself financially. I worked in retail, investment banking, nonprofit organizations, and eventually in higher education institutions, and held management positions in all of them. These jobs not only enabled me to continue performing and eliminated the worries I had every night about starving or paying my bills, I also did not have any worries about buying things that I liked. Being overlooked and rejected were not my only challenges. I also had vision and hearing problems that progressively got worse throughout my performing career. But I developed strategies to find a workaround and overcome those problems. I also had a major knee surgery involving three procedures, one of which was a bone transplant that would not heal. My surgeon told me to avoid activities that put a lot of weight on my right leg. He also told me not to think about dancing again. But I trained my body so that I could perform again. I modified my movement to address the weight bearing restrictions so that I would not aggravate or re injure my knee. And I was able to perform successfully again 1 year after my surgery. So, despite all these barriers and challenges with my height, hearing, vision, and knee, all of which has serious implications on my career as a performer, I did not let any of them stop me from doing what I love. I persevered and developed my own strategies to deal with them effectively. So, when you encounter obstacles and challenges during your professional careers, think about developing strategies to effectively deal with them so that you can still continue doing what you love and are trained to do. And bear in mind, there are different ways to achieve the same desired result. You just need to think outside the box and be strategic. Because of what I learned from the non-arts related management jobs I held, I was able to gain new knowledge and skills that were not necessarily related to the creative side of arts. My combined knowledge and skills in the artistic and non-artistic fields gave me the confidence and the tools to establish my own nonprofit dance company, Balasol Dance, in 2010. Because of the rejections I faced earlier in my career, I developed Balasol's vision and mission statements with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind, which you all know just recently received much attention in this country. Since its launch in 2010, the company has helped 200 plus marginalized and overlooked artists, as well as artists who were looking for an arena to showcase their own artistic voices. During these past 10 years, I was also able to feature 15 UB students to perform with Balasol in New York City. This was my way of giving back to the Department of Theater and Dance by giving its students professional performing opportunities through my company in the country's official art capital. Furthermore, I created programs through my company that provided free dance classes to underprivileged or financially disadvantaged children of immigrant parents, as well as free concert admissions to college students and senior citizens. In 2019, I also took a mission trip to the Philippines to provide free master classes, lectures, and performances. This part of my journey was about me paying it forward. Another unusual occurrence in my journey is wearing two hats in my company, one as executive director and the other as artistic director. Two separate roles that are not typically held by one person due to their distinctively different functions. But my expansive background enabled me to marry my skills as an administrator and as an artist. Balasol is also my philanthropic project. I self-fund at least 70% of its operations, something that is also not seen in the field. So my overall role in Balasol is a testament that artists are multifaceted professionals and thinkers who are more than capable of using both sides of their brain equally and can cross over between the creative and business or administrative side of their respective fields. And this ability will increase your marketability and earning potentials so you can do more things throughout your journey. In my introductory live remarks earlier, I said I would dance my remarks for you if only I could, which would be challenging at this time. I want to expound on that statement. Last October of 2020, I was officially diagnosed with a rare spinal cord tumor in my upper back. I was told by several surgeons that it was just a matter of time before I became paraplegic because of the size of my tumor that was compressing my spinal cord. The surgeons advised me to undergo a highly risky surgery to remove the tumor as soon as possible to avoid being paralyzed and experiencing new irreversible symptoms. They also warned me that I would experience neurophysiological, proprioception, and sensory deficits after that surgery. This would include decreased feedback that my feet receive from the floor, loss of balance, poor movement coordination, decreased sensation, weakness in my legs, walking problems, and numbness, which would require long-term physical therapy. Furthermore, I was told the speed, length, and level of recovery would be unpredictable. It could be months, years, or never. I really didn't have much choice in this matter, so I underwent the risky surgery about a month later. I woke up not being able to stand and use my legs, and 98% numbed on the right side of my body, and 50% numbed on the left side, but with 100% numbness on both legs below my mid thighs. Basically, I could not feel what my legs and feet were doing. I suddenly found myself relearning how to walk as if I was a child relearning how to walk for the very first time. It was definitely a traumatizing experience, especially to someone who uses his body as his instrument in creating and performing his art. I am now about 5.5 months post surgery, and I am determined to overcome this new challenge as I have with other challenges in the past. My goal is to be back close to my physical state prior to my surgery and to perform again. Perhaps I have to think of a new strategy to perform in a modified form. I have one more story to tell you. I promise it's the last one. In the past, I struggled to explain to my friends and acquaintances who work in non-artistic fields what I did as a profession because they simply did not understand. I would say I was an artist, specifically a dance professional. Then my response would be followed by another question asking, "But what is your real job?" I always found that question a little off-putting and offensive, and some of you will be asked that same question. I steadfastly said in my profession, I have held different positions such as concert dance administrator, producer, choreographer, performer, educator, and adjudicator. I would tell them to think of those positions as the different positions they've held in their respective fields, and that each position had its own set of responsibilities and deliverables, just like the set of responsibilities bulleted under their own job descriptions and set of things they have to deliver or accomplish in their roles. I also explained to them that the arts have both the creative and business sides, and that it is no different than the fields of medicine, architecture, engineering, and other fields. I told them I was in the business of creating art, or an intangible artistic artifact. Just like doctors are in the business of treating patients, architects are in the business of creating designs for construction projects, and others are in the business of creating intangible intellectual properties. I told them we're all in the business of creating, building, and providing something, whether products or services, tangible or intangible. The only difference is we're just extremely underpaid compared to our counterparts in non-artistic fields. While we all produce something different at the end, our process is quite similar. We start with an idea, followed by research, analysis, prototype development, testing, and launch. They understood exactly what I meant, although they were often very surprised because I articulated my profession in their language, and they still had difficulty seeing my roles in the arts as a valid profession. I understood why. They were not used to hearing it from that perspective, so I urge you, graduating seniors, to use this other language when you enter the global workforce to make it easier for non-artists to understand what you do, to advocate for or support what you do, and treat you as equals. You have to speak the global or universal professional language when explaining what you do professionally in order to influence, persuade, and connect with others. Don't ever be afraid to talk to a doctor, CEO, CFO, COO, financial manager, marketer, and other professionals outside our fields about your profession, because you can now articulate your profession in their language. You can tell them that we are equal, but just different. I hope everything I just shared with you provides you with ideas, motivation, confidence, fearlessness, and spirit to go out there and do something wonderful and amazing and to achieve your dreams. Your resiliency will protect you from succumbing to failure. I do have to say, this moment is just as much about you as it is about the Department of Theater and Dance, its faculty and staff. Your respective programs, teachers, and mentors have prepared you to fully face the professional world and walk the road to success. You just have to do your part. So, as you embark on your journey when you leave the university, I highly recommend you establish both short and long term goals for yourselves. Think of it this way: you don't get into a car without a destination or drive to California without a map. As artists, I imagine you will want to explore in between your starting point and your destination. That's perfectly okay, and it is within the realm of what we do as professionals in the arts. The bottom line is that you remain focused and not go through your entire journey aimlessly. Stick to your timeline and adjust it as necessary. Of course, you will inevitably be faced with some challenges along the way, just like I did, but you will overcome those challenges because you have the resiliency, the tools, the skills, and the knowledge to come up with the best solutions for yourself. Lastly, I want to leave you with some words of wisdom and advice. These are the things I've learned and applied in my journey on a daily basis. Have an open mind. Think forward, inward, and outward, meaning think holistically and innovatively. And don't ever stop learning. Nobody knows everything. Don't be afraid to fail. They provide valuable lessons and serve as building blocks to success. Always start small when you do something new. You can always scale it up later. Your process of creating and building something is just as important as your final product. Your process contributes greatly to your personal and professional growth. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. The pandemic has forced many individuals and companies to reinvent themselves, and many of them have done it successfully. And you don't need a pandemic to reinvent yourself because during your journey, you may find yourself not fitting into anything out there. If what you want does not exist, create it. Just like I created my company, Battle Soul Dance, there's no company like it in the world. Be proactive and not reactive. When you are reactive, you have to spend more energy and resources to do damage control. It's best to do your homework in advance and plan accordingly. You have to learn to anticipate things, good, bad, as well as opportunities. Learn to articulate the value of your work and profession. This is what we call value proposition in a corporate setting. Basically, you have to articulate in a convincing manner why people should pay for you and your work. As artists, you are innovators, so tap into your ability as forward thinkers. And as innovators, you are design thinkers, similar to those innovators in tech companies. So think outside the box and continue to push the envelope. When you create your own business, don't just think about addressing a need. Also think about creating a need. Just like many creative people have developed things that people didn't ask for, even think about, but now are unable to live without them. Some examples of these are software apps that end users didn't need initially, but now cannot live without them. Never forget, we are equal to our counterparts in other fields. We have the same process, we're just in a different business. We are in the business of creating art. Make sure everything that you do and say has integrity. Maintain that integrity whether you are in the workplace, at home, or social settings. Create honest art and own it, even if you make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. When you own your own mistake, people will either not notice it, and if they do, they will be more forgiving or overlook it. Make sure your own artistic voice is reflected in your work. Find a balance between creativity and accessibility. Create entry points in your work because you want people to connect with your work in a meaningful and impactful way. Artists tend to be circular and spiral thinkers, as opposed to being linear thinkers. That's okay. Linear thinkers often miss out on the opportunity to explore various ideas to innovate. Just make sure you set a reminder for yourself as to when it's time to redirect your thinking towards your destination. Think about it as setting an alarm clock for yourself. This is how you stay focused and within the timeline you have established. Always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And put in your back pocket as backups plans D, E, and F. That ensures you have thought about the various scenarios that could potentially come up and are prepared to act quickly and appropriately. Make networking and building relationships with people part of your long term career plan and strategy. Your network can introduce you to opportunities that you may not know about. I've gotten several gigs or jobs through word of mouth or through people I know. Learn to accept that we cannot do everything, even if you are good at everything. There are not enough days in our lifetime for us to do everything. So make sure to prioritize, make smart, tough decisions, and stay focused on the things that will get you to your desired destination. Focus on your strengths and hone them, and be fully aware of your weaknesses. Your strengths are what's going to set you apart from everyone, make you shine, and guarantee your success. Remember that life is only as complicated as you make or allow it to be. So sometimes develop systems for yourself that make your life, even some of your work, less complicated. I am a big proponent of applying the principle KISS, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, whenever possible. Give back and pay it forward. Use your gifts and skills as artists to transform lives. And if you can, create a legacy. Congratulations again, Department of Theater and Dance Class of 2021. Bravo for everything you have accomplished so far, and I wish you a successful, exciting, and fulfilling journey. Feel free to connect with me if you are ever in New York City or anywhere. I'm here as a resource for you.